Hello, kinship family from Catholic Charities. My name is Sarah, and today we're going to be talking about 6 pre-literacy skills. Pre-literacy means before they're able to read. So this isn't learning about how to teach a child to read. No. This video, I'm hoping, will show you some simple and easy things you can be doing at home that prepare your child to be able to begin learning to read when they reach school. So this is for your reading practices with children from birth to about 5 or 6. So these pre-literacy skills are the building blocks, and these building blocks, once assembled, pave the way for a child to be able to learn to read, which is really phenomenal. Now, I'm going to be sharing a lot with you. Please don't worry about trying to take everything and absorb it and bring it all into your read alouds. It's too much. I'm hoping that you'll watch this video and identify just one idea that you would be willing to try. And I'm hoping that you'll try it and you'll continue doing it every single day and you'll build it into your routine. And when it's such a part of the routine that it's not stressful or you don't have to remind yourself to do it, then you can come back here and watch a second time and try and gain a second idea or activity or skill. And slowly we'll build it up so that you're bringing in traits from all 6 pre-literacy skills into your practices regarding literacy with the children in your home. And hopefully it will feel easy and simple, but don't try and absorb everything I'm about to tell you. Just look at one thing at a time. So as we go through, try and figure out one thing that's new to you that might be easy to do. So when we're talking about pre-literacy skills, it can be hard because we want to bring so much into, like, we think, oh goodness, I need to teach them the letters and the sounds and I need to teach them to read. That's something that they can do at home or at school, excuse me. At home, we're worrying about other things. We're thinking about print awareness, letter knowledge, vocabulary, phonological awareness, narrative skills, and print motivation. I'm going to go into each one of those, but those are the 6 pre-literacy skills. So these are the building blocks that the children that you're with need to have in order to be able to learn to read later on. The first one is print awareness. This is text and book knowledge. So it's helping your child notice print. It's even helping them understand how a book works. And so some simple things you can do is when you are reading a book, point to whatever text you're reading. So I'm going to see if I can get myself and a book into this screen. Peanut is one of my favorites. I find it so cute. We're not going to read it, but I'm just going to show you that when I read with the child, I will point. So she decided to bring him home. I point to the words that I'm reading so that children know that the words I'm saying are coming from these symbols. They don't recognize them as letters yet, but they might recognize them as distinctive shapes. And that's where my words are coming from. That the text, the shapes, are important. So pointing to each word as you read it is tremendously helpful. Having your child sit with you and hold the book and help turn pages engages them in the book. One thing I do that's so silly, but sometimes when I'm with a child, they're sitting on my lap and I'll have the book like this and I'll say, okay, let's read it, and try and open it like, oh, I can't open it. This book must be broken. And it's funny when they get so excited to show me, no, you open a book, and the book needs to be held this way, and we turn pages one way. and they gain that skill from a lot of practice. So have fun with it, but do have them help you open a book, turn the pages, hold the book, get comfortable with books. Then finally, another thing you could try is to point to text when you see it. So when you're driving, or when you're, anywhere, at a restaurant, when you're grocery shopping, whenever you see text, point it out, talk about it, read it. Say, oh, these letters say stop, S-T-O-P, stop. That's a stop sign. That's how I know to stop the car. If you make a point of showing the text just a couple of times a day, it really reinforces how important it is for kids to learn to read, and they're more eager because they see that you're getting all these cues and clues from the world around you that they're not getting because they don't know how to read the symbols. So it builds their desire. So those are just a few things you can do. You can point to words as you read. You can have the child hold the book and participate in the turning the pages, and you can point out text whenever you see it. So remember, maybe just take one idea, or don't worry about any of these, because we have 5 more skills to look at. Let's go to the next one. Next, we have letter knowledge, the shapes and the sounds of the letters. This is a big one because we have 26 letters. So the goal is that your child will be able to name the letters, possibly even connect the shape with the letter, and ideally sounds with letters. A very early sort of a building block, please forgive the pun you're about to hear, but in this is that when children are really, really little, the best thing you can do is have them play with blocks and different kinds of shapes. The text that we see is nothing other than shapes. So let's say the letter T is just intersecting lines, whether it's a lowercase or uppercase. It's sort of like, and if it's block text, it's like little rectangles. So they're not recognizing it as a T yet, but they can identify shapes if they've been playing with blocks, especially blocks in different shapes. So that is one of the building tools to get up to letter knowledge. We can talk about letters, so you could have a letter of the day where you point it out whenever you see it. So let's say today is going to be S day, and every time you see an S, or maybe not every time, that would drive you crazy, but you point it out 10 times a day. Oh, that's an S. S says S, and this is what it looks like. And you keep reinforcing that. You just keep doing it. And I know it gets a little boring and a little cumbersome, but it is so, so wonderfully helpful for the children. You could go through a book together. I'm going to grab a different book. I have so many. You could go through and let's say today is S Day and we're reading The Little Mouse. Oh, there's our friend S. Well, that's a small S, but S says S. And we hear it in The Little Mouse. Do you hear the S? Oh, the red, ripe strawberry. Another S. Can you point to the S with me? Yep, that is an S. Okay. You don't want to do that the entire book, but a couple of times makes a huge difference. So you pick a letter and you highlight and showcase that letter. You could even go on scavenger hunts within the book. So you look at the page and you say, I count at least 5 S's on this page. Can you find all 5 S's? And then the child will go through and try and find them. And it brings them hyper aware that these symbols have meaning, and they start to look at them differently if you play games like that. You can remind them of the sounds that each letter makes. I was sort of doing that. One thing I would caution you, not to make it harder, but sometimes when we have a consonant, we attach it with a vowel. and we don't want to do that. So the letter C says k, not k. And that's important because when kids, let's say they're trying to read the word cat, and we've been teaching them that it's k, they would read it k-at, cat. That's not how that works. So we want to teach them k-at, cat. So that's just something to keep in mind, that when we're teaching them the sounds that a letter makes, we don't want to add on extra sounds. Finally, you can sing the alphabet song with them. That's easy. You could do it anytime. It's even better if you can print up or write out the alphabet and point to each letter as you sing its name. So like A, B, C, D, and go through like that. It helps them distinguish the letters. Please bear with me. We've got 4 more. You're doing wonderfully. Remember, you're not trying to absorb all of these, but hopefully maybe you found one thing that you'd be willing to do with your child. Next, we have vocabulary, the names of things and the meanings of words. The more vocabulary your child understands, the easier it's going to be to read it. It's really hard to read a word that you've never heard before and you don't know what it means. It's going to happen a lot in school, but the more we can reduce that, the more confident of a reader they will be. So we want to expand their vocabulary. So one way you can do that is just trying to have a variety of different books. Now, I'm giving contradictory advice. If a child loves a book and they want to read it every day, that is great. We want to foster that. We want them to be in control. If they get joy from that book, if it's something about the routine of it, if they like the characters, they might like the illustrations. If they want it, that's the one you're reading. That is great. You could read a book 100 times. Your child can have it memorized and they will still benefit greatly from hearing it because it's about fostering a love of reading. But if you can convince them that they're going to read that favorite book and then you're going to bring in a new book as a second book to read, that's even better, because these books, they do expose new vocabulary. Whether we think about it or not, maybe your child has never seen the word ripe written out, and maybe they're not used to some of these words. So maybe in your daily life you don't have picked a lot or especially a lot. So these books will expose new vocabulary. Oh, I have an even better example. I should have turned the page one more time. Trump. How many times do we say Trump in our daily life? But what a wonderful word. So even the most simple children's books, and I love this one, this is a great one, even the most simple children's books are going to bring in expanded vocabulary that allows your child to just grow and flourish their understanding of words and their names of words. So varieties of books are great. Another way you can do this is just being very vocal about what's going on around you. So if you're going for a walk, you can notice that the trees, their leaves are changing colors and falling to the ground. If you narrate what you're seeing and what you're doing, that's going to expose them to new vocabulary. So it sounds so simple, but the more you talk to your child by telling them what you're doing and what you're seeing and what they're seeing, that's going to build their vocabulary, and that's wonderful. And finally, when we talk about books, we can look at illustrations. This is another fun one, the cow that went oink. We can look at even a picture and use that to expand vocabulary. Like, oh goodness, wow, there are lots of cows. How many cows do we see? Oh yeah, that's a lot. What colors are the cows? Oh, yeah, there are some that are more red and tan and black and brown. And they have spots. Do you see the spots? Oh, I see they have snouts. Can you point to the snouts? You can use any picture, and the more you can name and point to, the greater their vocabulary will be. So we're halfway through. You're doing great. Okay, next we have phonological awareness, the sounds in words. We sort of touched on this already, but goodness, I am so excited because I have one of my favorite books ever, Rhyming Dust Bunnies, and we're going to talk about this for a moment. So phonological awareness, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited about this book, is your child's ability to hear small parts of a word. And one of the best ways you can do this is to find books with rhymes in them. So many have them, like Rhyming Dust Bunnies, A Hunting We Will Go, The Cow That Went Oink has it. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are rhymes in The Big Hungry Bear, The Red Ripe Strawberries, and Little Mouse. So all of these are great. But in the Rhyming Dust Bunnies by Jan Thomas, we say, hello, we are Ed, Ned, Ted, and Bob. We rhyme all the time. So even in this simple book from page 1, we can talk about how these words sound the same. Ed, Ned, Ted, and Bob. You can talk to your child about, do you hear the Ed, Ned, Ted? What would be another name that would rhyme? Would Fred rhyme? Yeah. This whole book is about Bob not being able to rhyme, and it's hilarious. So they're trying to find words that rhyme. And finally, hog, log, fog, and then Bob's rhyme is, look out, here comes a big, scary monster with a broom. So it turns out he was trying to warn them the entire time, and it's hilarious. So finding books that have rhymes, making up silly rhymes. So even like anytime you can come up with like a silly little rhyme to help them remember something, like socks in the box as you're putting things away. It doesn't have to be a perfect rhyme. Near rhymes are great because it's all about the sounds. Tongue twisters are wonderful. That's for the alliteration, the beginning of the words that sound the same. Songs have a lot of rhymes, especially children's songs. So if you can find, a YouTube channel or a playlist that has children's songs, especially if they can start to sing along to the songs, if they get that familiar, that's going to help them hearing rhymes and words. And then also nursery rhymes are phenomenal. And you can find those on YouTube as well. You can just search nursery rhymes and you'll see tons of them on YouTube that are really good. Next, we have narrative skills, being able to tell stories. So it's really hard. One of my favorite things about being a teacher is the kids who can't really tell stories. And I find it so funny when they come in and I say, oh, did you do something fun this weekend? And they go through, well, I woke up and then I sat up and then I tried to find the lamp and I couldn't find the lamp. And they tell everything. And so it's a skill that they haven't developed yet. So a narrative skill is being able to sort of figure out what's important, recount the story in the correct order, and be able to talk about characters. So they can talk about what happens. And we can see this skill developing in how they also tell stories. One way you can do this is just encouraging them to practice. You can ask your child lots of questions. So like, oh, what did you do at the park? Even if you were at the park with them, what did you do at the park? Well, first we did this. First we did that. Guiding them through the idea of first, next, then, after that. Transition words that help them tell a story. And as I said, I was going to be contradictory because in this one I say read your favorite books repeatedly. It helps them start to understand what's important. The parts that they really like of the story are going to sort of come out to them over time. So they'll be better and better about retelling. And so it really helps to reread the favorite books again and again. And then talking about a book after you read it. So after Rhyming Dust Bunnies, we're going to talk about why Bob can't rhyme and what Bob was trying to do and how are the dust bunnies going to get out from the vacuum cleaner. Sorry, should have said spoiler alert. Because they weren't listening to Bob, the dust bunnies got sucked into a vacuum cleaner because they were too busy with rhyming. So we can talk about that and what happened. And well, what would have happened if they had listened to Bob? So we can ask them questions. We can talk about the books we read and just enhance their knowledge. Okay, we've got one more. Finally, we have print motivation. And this one is somehow the easiest and the hardest. It's all about fostering a joy of reading. I can't tell you how many doors are open to readers. Kids who like reading are going to do so much better in school because starting at 3rd grade, they're not learning to read anymore. They're reading to learn, meaning that the class is not going to wait for them to be able to figure out what the text says. They're already moving on to answering questions. And they're going to miss out on classroom discussion if they're not up to reading level. So the best way we can encourage kids to practice reading is to foster a love of reading. They have to want to read. They have to find things that they enjoy reading. And so, this sort of goes into that letting the child pick the book. And if they want to hear the same book again and again and again, great. Because we want them to be happy when reading. Part of that is also reading books aloud that you enjoy. So I get so much pleasure from Go Away Big Green Monster. I'm sorry, has all these fun cutouts. It's a tiny bit scary, but the kids are telling him like, go away, long bluish green nose. See the vocabulary? Bluish, greenish. That's great. And it just keeps going away until he disappears and is no longer scary. Go away, big red mouth. He's starting to look a little silly. I get so much personal joy from teaching kids with this book. I love reading it, and that shows. Kids want to hear it because I'm excited. So don't waste your time reading books that you dislike to your children. They're going to pick up on that, and reading should always be joyful. Also, something you could do is to let your child catch you reading. So you have so much to do in your life. I know you are so busy and you've got 1,000 things on your plate, and this is going to sound really, really hard to do when you have so much you have to do. But if you can spend your time reading, anytime you can pull out a book, and let your child see that you're reading, that you choose when you have so much around you and when there's TV and your phone and other things you can be doing, that you are choosing to read. Not children's books that you want to read. If you can let them see you reading, that is one of the best gifts you can give to a child. So bring a book, and when you're standing in line at the grocery store, pull it out. If you even just read half of a page, but your child sees you reading, it is wonderful. Make book sharing a special time with your child. It shouldn't feel like a chore. It should feel to them like it's when they get your full attention, their special bonding time with you, where you are focused on them and you're sharing in something wonderful, fun, and important. And they're going to pick up on that attitude. And finally, visiting libraries, rooms filled with books where there's just so much potential. I know it's hard. We're in a pandemic right now. It can be hard to travel or to get there. So this might not be something we do for a while, but going to libraries is important, so that children can get excited about the books around them. So once again, I'm sorry that I just gave you so much. There are a lot of tips in there, and I just want you to know that even if you do none of this, the fact that you are willing to watch this video is great. Thank you for your time. And if you do happen to have noted one thing you'd be willing to try doing with your child, and that is great. And I hope you have a wonderful time reading. Thank you for watching.